Today's video is brought to you by URCD Keys, the best source for Windows 10 and Office Professional product keys at deeply discounted prices. More details at the end of the video. I would like to call your attention, everybody who wants to see these numbers in writing, to the video description below.
Oh, they have to read.
The video description contains a bunch of numbers. And I'm going to take you through these numbers step by step, but if you just want to see them in summary form, I've put them down there to try to make your life easy. We're going to talk about the Honda Civic first. I think the Honda Civic is an amazingly wonderful car. I think it'd be a great first car for my kids. If I were 25 and single and just wanted something fun to drive, Honda Civic might be on my list. I'm more of a truck person. I'm from Texas, but Honda Civic's a nice car. It's a good combination of tech and features and reliability and price and size, and it's got a nice appearance. Now, can you buy a Toyota or one of many other similar sized cars? Sure. But we're using a Honda Civic because A, they sell a umpteen boatload crap ton of them.
They do. And
they've been reliable for many years, and it's just an easy example, and you can find them everywhere. A brand new 2021 Honda Civic EXL, and I'm trying to use similar trim levels so that it's comparable.
Yep.
Now these are.
Oh, there he is. Oh,
this.
It's blue.
Of course it is. This is a now I love this color.
I know you do.
I want one of these, but I don't really. But my 20-year-old self wants one of these.
Oh yeah, totally.
That is a very nice car. It's nice looking. It's got nice features. I mean, it's got nice aluminum wheels. It's got leather. It's got a nice big nav screen. It's got a digital screen here. It's got all the tech. It's a very nice car. And this is a $25,000 car. Honda is also offering 1.9% financing for 60 months, which is the number we're going to use. They also do 2.9% for 72 months, but I really think the 1.9 for 60 makes a lot more sense, and that's what I would recommend. So, blue exterior, black interior, very nice. Now, your actual cost to buy this, assuming you have no trade, is in fact, I'll zoom this in so we make this. There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
I can see it.
$27,630. I'm using Texas sales tax here. That's with TT&L. So you could, if you want, write a check for $27,063, hand them the check, they'll hand you the keys to the car, and off you drive, and happiness and everything else. Or at 1.9% financing for 60 months, you would pay $473 a month.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Do you think the average American has $473 a month to pay for their car?
The average person?
Yes.
No.
I'm willing to bet they don't. I'm willing to bet millions of Americans do, but I'm willing to bet a lot of Americans are going to go, $500 a month? Man, I don't have that kind of money. I'm going to go buy a used one. I'm going to show you how much cheaper those are. I've already seen it in the comments as we've been chatting. I'm going to go buy a used one. I'm going to show you, Tech. The used ones are cheaper. I'm going to save a bunch of money. New is dumb. Well, let me get 2 points out of the way up front. Number one, if you don't have $473 a month, none of this rational argument, none of this reasoning, none of this makes any difference. If you don't have $500 a month, you don't have $500 a month, and the conversation is over. Go fix that. If you live in the United States of America, deliver pizzas, take a second job, go to school, take night classes, learn programming, do something. I mean, assuming you don't have some medical disability or something that's preventing you. I mean, I understand. But here's the kicker. Does some uncontrollable event like a medical disability prevent all the people who don't have $500 from doing this?
No.
Just as percentage. What about the rest of them?
Well, there's always ways to earn money. You just have to be creative.
You want a really good example of this? Bavarian, in our Discord, made a really good comment about this. She said, people who complain about not having any money need to be creative. And her example was buying buy or borrow a power washer. You can get a power washer for like $100.
Yeah, you can actually.
Go up and down a nice residential street, knock on doors, and offer to power wash their driveway for $25. Mm-hmm. You can power wash a driveway in 30 minutes.
$50 an hour?
That's $50 an hour. Do that on a Saturday for 4 hours.
That's earning a little bit of money.
It's $200. Mm-hmm. Do that 4 Saturdays in a row, that's $800.
That's a car payment right there. That's rent right there.
There are all...
That's food right there.
Right, but that involves manual labor. So, now, granted, if you're elderly, if you have a disability, there's circumstances where that may not work.
Exactly.
But it's an example of how, if you want to go make several $100, to somebody who is truly living paycheck to paycheck, $200 in 4 hours is life-changing.
Yeah, it can be.
$800 a month, working one afternoon a weekend is life-changing money. Mm-hmm. So, I don't want to tell anybody to not watch our live stream, but if you're in this position and you're watching us on a Saturday afternoon, maybe you should go power wash some driveways. I would pay somebody $25 to power wash my driveway. I can do it. I don't want to do it. I'd rather live stream with you guys. So the point is, I would say yes. Go do a really good job. And here's the cool part. Once you've done a couple of them, do a really good job, then you can take some pictures of it, and you can go to the next one and go, I just did your neighbors. Here's what it looked like before. Here's what it looked like after. $25, I'll be done in half an hour. I'll make your driveway look new again. Should I tell everybody the real secret?
What?
You find 2 or 3 buddies who want to do it as well. You pay them $20 to do it, and now you're making money without doing it. Now you're a capitalist business owner. Anyway, that's a separate conversation. Now you've started a side business.
There you go.
So, in any case, coming back to this, $473 per month, and I did see Donovan's comment about leasing. Leasing is usually the most expensive way to buy a car. There are exceptions, but we're not talking about that right now. Now, the estimated residual value after 5 years on this car is going to be $14,381. Now, it's an important point to note. This is an estimate. How many miles do you drive? What's the condition? Is it trashed inside? Is it clean? What's the market looking like in 5 years? Yep. You'll never really know for sure. All you can do is go off of guesses and estimates. But using the Edmunds total cost of ownership calculator with an estimated depreciation scale, this is how leases are done. They estimate depreciation. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not. But you're going to lose an estimated not quite $11,000 on the value of this vehicle in 5 years. So if you buy it and you drive it for 5 years, now help me out here, honey. 60 months of payment is how many years?
5?
She does not buy the cars in this family.
I don't.
60 months is 5 years.
That's what I said, 5.
Right, but you have to think about it.
I did.
I know. But that
You harumphed at me.
No.
You didn't cheer me. Yay, 5 years, you got it right.
Would you like me to put the dunce cap on now? Anyway, 5 years is 60 months, and so you'll own the car outright. So in theory, after 5 years, you will own a car, that has $14,381 of residual value after 5 years after you made 5 years of $473 a month of payments. If you divide that out, that's $239 a month of equity that you are building every month you make a payment. Now, that's only true if you keep it the whole 5 years. If you trade after 2 years, you take the biggest hit in the first year and a half.
You do.
That's not going to be true. You have to keep it 5 years for that to be true. If you subtract $293 a month from $437 a month, honey, read for me.
$234 is the true monthly total cost.
If I told the average person You can buy a brand new $25,000 Honda Civic EXL with leather, nav, screens, technology, and everything for less than $250 a month with nothing due at signing, and it's not a lease, and you own it. How many would believe me?
No, no one.
This works if you can float the cash flow.
That's true.
It does not work if you don't have 50 cents to your name. But this is why I made the statement earlier in the stream that it's very expensive to be poor. And where you start to capitalize on your money is when you stop thinking monthly payment and you start thinking total cost of ownership. Now, let's take a used one. This one, this is the total cost to own, by the way, sheet, which you can look at it on your own. But basically, see total cash price right here?
Yep.
Okay. It's roughly the same as this. See, the true cost to own is like more than the cost of the car. Mm-hmm. But that's only taking out depreciation. That's not the whole cost. Because when you take insurance, now they're putting too much in here for maintenance, and I don't agree with some of those numbers, but the main number I'm getting out of here is depreciation.
Okay.
Notice that fuel, relative to the cost of the car, divided over 5 years, about $1,000 a year of fuel. But it depends on how much you drive.
It is.
And there's roughly $10,800 of depreciation. And the rest of this is, of course, going to depend upon, of course, in maintenance might be a set of tires and windshield wiper blades and that kind of stuff.
Correct.
This is mind-blowing. This is a 2016 Honda Civic EXL. Now, it looks nice. I mean, the pictures, I mean, it's black instead of blue, but that's just color. Looks nice, right?
Yes.
Okay. I am sure that plenty of people would go buy this thinking, I mean, look, it's got a screen and a screen
Leather.
and leather. Wow.
Looks clean.
It looks nice, doesn't it? You know what's wrong with this car?
115,000 miles? 114?
Looks nice in the picture, though, doesn't it? They want $15,773 for a 5-year-old Honda Civic with 114,000 miles.
Nope.
These sell, look at the estimated payment.
$244 a month?
I don't have $473, man. Oh, $244, I can afford that.
Well,
Buy a new one for less.
Yep.
Now, the exact same TCO math I just did works here too.
Total cost of ownership.
Total cost of ownership absolutely works. Because if you buy this car and you finance it for 5 years, in 5 years it will not be worth zero. And interestingly enough, Edmunds has TCOs for used cars too.
Oh.
Look at this, total cash price.
Yep.
Oh, look at that. That's about what they're worth, about $15,000. Mm-hmm. And we have a depreciation schedule here as well of just under $8,000. So a used Honda Civic will lose less money in 5 years than a new one. The new one loses almost $11,000. This loses almost $8,000. So see, used cars are better deals. Well, $15,773 purchase price at 3.59, because you're not going to get, the 1.9% is subsidized because that's Honda selling cars. This is about as good as you're going to get for 60 months with reasonably decent credit.
With, well, a used vehicle too.
That's right, it's not subsidized. New, used, without a subsidized deal, that's about what it is. 3.59% for 60 months. With tax, title, and license, you still have to pay tax, title, and license.
TTL, tax, title, and license.
It is $312 per month. I get this all the time, constantly. Buy a used car, man, they're cheaper. See, look, the new car is $473 a month, man, and the used one is $312, man. That's a lot less money. Sure it is. It's a lower payment, but it's not as little as you think it is because your payment is cash flow, not your cost to own the car. With a $7,877 estimated value after 10 years, which, by the way, at that point, it'll have stupid miles.
It will.
That's $131 a month of equity. Subtracting them out, you have $181 true monthly cost to own. Now, $234 a month versus $181 is in fact more money for a new car. It is $53 a month more net to own the new car versus the used car. It only takes one mechanical failure on your 8-year-old used car to defeat the point. Your transmission, an axle, the brakes need doing. More maintenance will be required for sure. Brakes, transmission fluid, a few other things will have to be done. Mm-hmm. The new car gets you more safety tech. It gets you that new car feel. It doesn't have 100,000 miles on it. Tires are new, seats are new, windshield wipers are new, transmission fluid's new, everything's under warranty. You get 5 years of roadside assistance, which you aren't going to need, but if you do, it's there. For $53 a month difference in total, if you get your brain off of monthly payment, if you get your brain off of, I can afford $300 a month, but I can't afford $470. If you can get past that, your real cost to own a brand new Honda Civic is $53 a month more than a 5-year-old one with 114,000 miles. Am I going to get in trouble with everybody if I point out something?
What?
You have to be really broke for $53 a month to make that used car worth it. That if $53 a month destroys you, we're talking about a 114,000 mile out of warranty 5-year-old car that you are going to have 5 years of, you're going to make your last payment when that thing is 10 years old.
No. Go power wash some driveways.
Two driveways a month.
2 and a bit.
Here's the thing. It is a true statement. The new car does cost more. When people say buy a used car, they're cheaper. That is a correct statement. How much? Well, if you go based upon your cash flow payment, then you're looking at 473 minus 312, $161 a month. If you come to me and say, I bought a used Honda Civic because it was $161 a month less, okay, I can see why you made that decision. What if I told you it was $53 a month less? Several people have been mentioning leasing.
Oh, yes. You knew that was going to happen.
The problem with leasing, and this stream is not about leasing. Leasing needs to be its own dedicated stream.
It does.
The problem with leasing is unless it is a manufacturer-subsidized lease, the interest rates are usually much higher. The residuals are rarely that attractive. There are cars that are good lease cars. Most cars aren't, but there are occasionally deals that are like, okay, they're giving those away. I will take one. And when they do come up, you'll find there's a lease hacker forum, for example, that it's people basically playing the numbers and finding the ones where the residuals and the rebates and the prices and where all the stars align, and you can get like more car than you should be able to for the price.
Yep.
I agree. There are circumstances where that makes sense. But if you just randomly walk into a dealer wanting to buy a random car thinking, well, leasing is going to get me a lower monthly payment, it might. But there's no residual value. So let's say that your lease payment on this Honda Civic is $379 a month. I'll bet a lot of people would lease it for $379 a month instead of paying $473 a month, thinking $379 a month is less than $473 a month, and I get a brand new car. $234 is less than $379 a month. Now, with the lease is generally 36 months.
Correct.
And it'll let you drive a new car every 3 years. And some people don't care. And you go, I want to drive a new car every 3 years. And if you have the money and you don't care and you're otherwise financially stable, you know what? Then you're just spending fun money. Rock on. That's fine. But if you're doing it because you think that the payment is cheaper, thus that means the car is cheaper, that is where you went wrong. And I think a lot of people go wrong there. They think cheaper payment, cheaper car, more expensive payment, more expensive car. A cheaper payment on a car that loses more value is not a cheaper car. Now, we're not going to do it in this stream, but what if I told you that a $25,000 Honda Civic was cheaper than a $22,000 Kia whatever the equivalent on a Kia is, or whatever the equivalent of a Chevy is, like a Chevy Equinox. Or no, it wouldn't be that. It'd be a Chevy Sonic or whatever. Because residual value matters.
Correct.
And if the Honda retains 15,000, I mean, the Honda is retaining 60 to 65% of its residual value over 5 years. If the Kia or the Chevy retains 45%, a lower upfront purchase price and a lower monthly payment might actually cost you more, because instead of 15,000, their car is only worth 10. Because nobody wants a 5-year-old one of those.
No, exactly.
And so a more expensive car can be cheaper. A really ridiculous, how about we do a ridiculous example right now? If a year ago you had bought one of the new 2020 Corvette C8s that had just come out, and let's say, hang on, let's be ridiculous. You paid $10,000 over sticker to get it when it came out. A nice LT3, well-equipped with all the goodies and tech and trimmings, is going to run you about $80,000
$80 grand.
on a C8 Corvette.
That's being 10 over.
No, that's sticker.
Oh, that's sticker. That 90 grand?
If you pay 10 over that, that's 90,000. Who? What? That's. Are you nuts, man? That's a ripoff, man. You got. Oh no, you didn't actually made money. The current estimated value of a 1-year-old C8 Corvette with 4,000 or 5,000 miles on it is $100,000, and they are transacting at that price. If you had paid $10,000 over sticker a year ago for it, you could sell it today and make 10 grand.
Make money.
Your cost up front and your monthly payment are not the vehicle's price. And that is not a concept that anybody talks about.
Nope.
I don't see very many people talking about that point.
No, not at all.
You can buy a more expensive vehicle that, if it holds its value, is cheaper to own. But the argument I just made about driving a brand new C8 Corvette for a year and getting paid $10,000 to do it requires that you could afford the thing in the first place.
Correct.
Which most people can't.
Correct.
Which brings me back to the expensive. It's expensive to be. Man, it sounds so terrible when you say it, but it is a true statement.
It is.
You got more super chats?
Well, Donovan says, why not lease a car? No, new car, no maintenance. You kind of answered that. And my account, thank you. Do you want to say anything more about?
You can't discount all lease deals as bad. My current lease is $150 a month with zero down for a $34,000.
Hyundai.
That is a deeply, deeply, deeply subsidized deal. I don't have any problem with you leasing that. That's a really good deal. In fact, now, the problem in Texas, and leases are different in different states because the taxes are handled differently. In Texas, you owe sales tax on the entire dollar amount of the car, so you would owe 6.25% of the whole $34,000 in Texas. There are other states that only charge you sales tax on the monthly lease payment, and so leases work better and worse in different states.
They do.
If somebody offered me that Hyundai EV, how do you say that? Ioniq EV?
Ioniq?
Yeah.
I think so.
For $150 a month, I would take that as a second car. At $150 a month, that's almost worth just having as a spare car. So absolutely, some lease deals make sense. Most don't. That's that cheap because he probably lives in a state where the sales tax is only charged on the monthly payment.
Correct.
He got the $7,500 federal tax credit, which didn't, because he leased, the $7,500 credit didn't come to him on his taxes. The lease company got the $7,500, and they applied it as a down payment to the lease. And because leases are shorter term, that compressed the difference between the residual value and the purchase price by a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's effectively putting down twice as much in terms of payment reduction.
Correct.
And Hyundai is probably trying to move those things because nobody wants them. I can't even tell you what it looks like. There's Tesla, and there's a bunch of noise. I mean, who else besides Tesla can you name in EVs? It's Tesla. So they're trying to move cars. And so, yes, $150 a month for a $34,000 EV Rock on, man. I don't blame you. Nissan was doing that for a while too on the Nissan Leafs. There was a couple of people who were getting those for under $150 a month. But again, that's the exception that proves the rule. Yeah, absolutely. There was a deal a couple years ago we were debating before I bought my Ford Taurus that I was looking at a Ford Escape. Now, the Ford Escape's smaller than the Taurus. It's a little mini vehicle, and I wasn't terribly excited about it, but they were doing a subsidized lease deal that was like, oh boy.
I remember that.
Remember that?
I do remember
They were
that.
doing a lease deal on, was it the EXL or titanium? It was a high-level trim. It had leather.
I don't think it was the titanium.
Was it the EXL?
I think it was the EXL.
It had leather, navigation, sunroof. It didn't, I think, have everything in it, but it was very well equipped. And it was something like $175 a month, sign and drive, no down payment, 36 months of just here, rent this 30, or I want to say that the sticker on that was 28,000.
I was going to say 27, 28.
Now, the reason that 34 is cheaper, $7,500 from the taxpayer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so there are times, and that Ford Escape was a subsidized deal.
It was.
That would never make sense otherwise. And those deals are gone, actually. The Escapes cost more these days. So Porsche has an EV. Good for Porsche. Any more?
No. Nope.
Now, what I'm not discussing here, I have seen several comments in the chat from people saying, I bought a $1,500 car. I bought a $2,500 car. I bought a 2008 with 178,000 miles for $3,500. That's cheaper than any of these. There's an argument for that. It's wheels, it's an engine, and it drives. And as long as it keeps doing that. And, you know, if you buy a $3,500 car, there's almost an argument that says you drive it for a couple of years, and if it blows up on you, you go buy another $3,500 car, and you just don't care. You sell it for scrap for $1,000. Because most vehicles have at least $1,000 of scrap value. There's a lot of people who do that.
There are.
Because they have no other choices.
There are.
Especially, all these conversations I'm talking about financing, for example, depends... To get the subsidized finance deals, by the way, here's another interesting point worth considering. You, dear, are awesome. Rogue's amazing. Rogue gets too good. Hang on.
Go and buy your mother's flowers for Mother's Day. Or your wife. Or somebody.
Here's an important point to make. Sweetie?
Yes.
See this 1.9% financing?
Yes.
Generally, you can get that financing rate
Right.
down to about a 600-point credit score.
600-point credit score?
Do you see this 3.59? You cannot. You generally have to have at least a 680 or maybe 720 in order to get this.
Oh.
The worse credit you have, the easier it is to finance new cars versus used cars. To a point.
Oh, that's true.
To a point. It's because they are partially using the financing to transact vehicles. Whereas the banks who do the used car financing aren't selling a vehicle and they don't care. So if you have marginal credit, you might find it easier, and because here's what will happen. You'll go to the used vehicle and you might end up paying 7, 8, or 9% interest, whereas you might be surprised. I'll bet a lot of people buy a used car thinking, my credit's bad, or I don't have the money, I can't afford a new one. But they didn't even look. And if they could get the 0% or the 1.9% financing versus the 8 or 9% financing on the used car, they might discover
It's a little easier to get a nicer car.
that the difference between them starts shrinking. Because I'm giving credit for cheap interest rates here. I'm assuming good credit.
That's silly.
It's, you know how I said it's expensive to be poor? It's expensive to have bad credit.
It is expensive to have bad credit.
Fixing your credit is an important thing. URCD Keys is the best source for genuine Windows 10 and Office Professional product keys that work the first time, every time. Get 20% off normal prices using our discount code BST for Byte Size Tech and the link in the video description below. $15 gets you a Windows 10 Professional OEM key that is a real product key, activates directly with Microsoft, use it forever as it links to your Microsoft account and it works through reinstalls. Get a full copy of Office 2019 Professional Plus for about $50 that redeems at setup.office.com using your Microsoft account. It also works forever through reinstalls. We have been using URCD keys for almost 3 years now and recommend you do so as well.